Have you ever stopped to really think about why you buy the things you buy? It seems so simple, doesn't it? But there's a whole hidden world of psychology and influence behind every single purchase you make. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and dive deep into the anatomy of a choice.
Okay, let's make this real. I want you to think about the very last thing you bought. Seriously, was it your morning coffee? That new phone you've been eyeing? Maybe just a book? Go ahead, get that item clear in your head. You got it? All right, now here's the million-dollar question. Among all the different coffee shops, all the other gadgets on the shelf, all the countless books available, why did you pick that one? You had so many choices, but you landed on one. The real mystery is, why?
Well, I can tell you one thing for sure. It was not a random decision, not even close. That choice you just made, it was actually the final step of a hidden journey, one that was shaped by all sorts of invisible forces. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this explainer. We're going to map out that entire journey for you. So, where do we start? We start with the invisible influences. Think of this as the secret blueprint that's shaping your decisions long before you even think about buying something. These are the powerful, often subconscious factors that build the very foundation of who you are as a consumer.
At the broadest level, we've got cultural factors. You can picture these like giant, invisible bubbles we all live inside. First, there's your overall culture, the basic values you just absorb from growing up in your society. Then inside that, you have your subculture and your social class, which get even more specific. All of these layers work together to define what feels normal or desirable to you.
Now let's zoom in a bit to the people immediately around you. Your social world has a massive, massive impact. I mean, think about it. How many times have you tried something because a friend recommended it? Or because you saw an influencer post about it? But you know who has the most influence of all? Your family. They're the #1 buying influence in society. And of course, we all wear different hats. The things you buy as a parent are probably pretty different from what you'd buy as a manager at work.
And after all that, we finally get down to the specifics of, well, you. Your age, your job, how much money you make. These things obviously set the stage for what you can and will buy. But it goes deeper. It's about your lifestyle too, your hobbies, your interests, and even your personality. You might be drawn to a certain brand just because it feels like a reflection of who you are. Okay, now we're going even deeper. We're going inside your head. This stuff is absolutely fascinating. It all starts with a motivation, right? That little inner spark that says, I need something. Then your perception acts like a filter for every ad you see. And here's the key. Every purchase is a learning experience. It shapes your beliefs and attitudes, which then directly influence your next choice. It's a constant feedback loop. So we've seen all these invisible forces pushing and pulling at us. But how does that actually turn into a decision to buy something? Well, it turns out there's a predictable path you follow, whether you realize it or not. Let's uncover the 5 steps you take every single time. This whole thing is called the buyer decision process. And it's basically the mental journey every one of us goes on, starting from that first moment you realize you have a need, all the way to after the purchase when you decide if you're happy with it. And don't think this is just for big things like a car. Your brain runs this same program for everything, even choosing a snack. It's a universal mental checklist. So here it is, step 1, need recognition. It's the trigger. I'm hungry, or my phone is too slow. Step 2, information search. You start looking for answers, right? You Google things, you ask friends, you read reviews. Step 3, evaluation of alternatives. Now you're comparing your options, weighing the pros and cons. Step 4 is the big one, the purchase decision. You pull the trigger. But it's not over. Step 5, post-purchase behavior, is crucial. That's when you decide if you love it or regret it. And that feeling determines everything about your future with that brand.
What's really cool is this same logic, the same decision-making DNA, also explains how we decide to try something completely new. It's the blueprint for how we as a society jump on board with the next big thing.
And look how similar this is. First, there's awareness. You just hear about a new product. Then comes interest. You think, that's interesting, and you look for more info. Next is evaluation, where you ask yourself if it's worth trying. That might lead to the trial stage, where you test it out. And finally, if it all checks out, you hit adoption and make it a regular part of your life.
But here's the catch. Not everyone gets on board at the same time. We all fall into one of these categories. You've got your innovators, the risk takers who are first in line. Then the early adopters, who are the respected opinion leaders. Then the bulk of people fall into the early and late majority. And way at the end, you have the laggards, who are very skeptical of change. So, take a look. Which one are you? Be honest. It probably says a lot about your decision-making style.
So, we've mapped the invisible forces, we've walked the path to purchase, we've cracked the consumer code. But what's the big takeaway here? What does all of this actually mean for you?
Well, look, marketers spend billions of dollars trying to understand this process so they can influence you. But when you understand the blueprint yourself, when you can see the cultural, the social, the psychological strings being pulled, everything changes. You go from being a passive consumer to an active, conscious decision maker. You get to be in the driver's seat.
And that's the big question I want to leave you with. Now that you know the rules of the game, you have the power to actually question your own choices. So the next time you're about to buy something, just pause for a second and ask yourself that one simple question: why this one? And I guarantee the answer might just surprise you.